Find the activity with the largest total float. In this problem, we are provided an activity table which includes the name of each activity, the duration of time it takes to complete each activity, and the predecessor activities. Just to clarify, the solutions A, B, C, and D refer to activities B, C, D, and E, respectively. To determine the activity with the largest total float, we'll compute the total float corresponding to the four possible solutions and choose the largest one. To begin, we'll set up a network diagram since the activity of the winning bid has no predecessor activities. We'll begin laying out our diagram with activity A. After the bid is won, the contractor can begin ordering materials, site work, and permitting, because activity A is the sole predecessor of these three activities. Returning to the network diagram, we'll add in these three activities. The activity table also states construction cannot begin until the materials are ordered and delivered, and until site work is complete. Therefore, on the network diagram, we'll add the construction as the successor of activities B and C. Lastly, the inspection cannot begin until the construction and permitting are complete. So we'll add this activity F as the successor of activities D and E. The total float of an activity equals the late finish of an activity minus the early finish of that activity. For example, the total float of activity B equals the late finish of activity B minus the early finish of activity B. In this example, we want to compare the total float for activities B, C, D, and E. To do so, we'll first make a forward pass through the network to compute the early finish of these four activities. After that, we'll make a backward pass to compute the late finish of each activity, and finally, we'll compute the total float of these four activities. From the given activity table, we'll copy over the time durations into the network diagram, and we'll also set the early start of activity A equal to 1. Therefore, the early finish of activity A also equals 1. This means the early start of activities B, C, and E equal 1 as well, because activity A, winning the bid, is the only predecessor of these three activities. The early finishes of the activities of materials, site work, and permitting are computed by adding the early start and duration for these three activities. The early start of construction equals the largest value between the earliest finish of materials and the early finish of site work, which equals 4. And this makes the early finish of construction equal to 10.